Ladies and gentlemen, let's recap. About a week ago, less than a week ago, you had an Arizona state senator arrested for allegedly committing the most vile and despicable criminal acts. Then you had Andrew Cuomo resign for also a criminal probe where he's accused of committing very, just horrendous things. Now you have Texas Democrats. The Democratic Party is having a fantastic week. Texas Democrats, and I'm simply abiding by YouTube policies. I am not advocating anything. I am simply reading. KXAN Austin, Texas House Sergeant at Arms delivers civil arrest warrants for absent Democrats. Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan signs civil arrest warrants to return absent Democrats to Texas. That's the Austin American-Statesman. New York Times. At the state capitol, a day for arrest warrants, not legislation. Well, they can't technically pass legislation until there's a quorum where you have enough Democrats return. The Democrats fled because they couldn't possibly utilize every single possible advantage. They fled to D.C. They have every advantage. The media narrative, almost every publication in Texas, the major newspapers have a liberal viewpoint, Democratic Party viewpoint. Then, of course, you have CNN, and that's imploding right now. But the Matrix this is a glitch in the software program, the Matrix. This is some kind of it's not working as expected because the criminality and the rampant disregard for laws, norms, traditions. This is what they accused Trump of doing. They were guilty of all of that from day one. How many times has an incoming president been investigated for working alongside a hostile foreign nation? They made that up. Mueller found nothing. And we know everyone who investigated Trump had a vendetta against him and was basically working alongside the Democratic Party. You have these Democrats, though, in Texas. They don't like certain voting laws. Okay, then you work within the state legislature, or you don't just run from the state. I don't understand how anyone in Texas could look at this and say, I'm going to vote for a Democrat. You don't run and flee and hide from a challenge. You tackle the challenge head on. And if you're in politics, you work to, if you take a loss on one piece of legislation, you work to try to achieve victory on another piece of legislation. But they don't really care about, they try to make this noble kind of heroic type of opposition. This has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with the civil rights movement at all. The 1965 Voting Rights Act and state laws, the Supreme Court stated that none of these, as long as a law abides by federal regulations or federal law, the state can enact any or pass any law at once within the state legislature. And if those laws are aimed at the integrity of the outcome, let's just say, then Democrats have to abide by that. They're not banning or preventing anyone from voting for Democrats. That's absurd. No one is prevented in any way. Simply having laws that restrict certain types of, or simply having rules and protocols, that's not preventing somebody. Okay? If this was a huge issue among Democrats, they wouldn't have cheated to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders voters, 100 to 200,000, were purged in New York, actually taken off the voting rolls. But here, let's just read this. Texas House Sergeant at Arms delivers civil arrest warrants for absent Democrats. 52. So there are 52 Democrats that possibly face arrest. On Wednesday, a Texas Sergeant at Arms walked the state capitol to serve the office of the 52 absent Democrats who were still preventing a quorum after Speaker Dade Phelan officially signed the warrants Tuesday night. Representative Thompson has not voluntarily appeared at the House chamber. The Speaker has signed a warrant on a representative's civil arrest. Sergeant-at-Arms said as he delivered the civil warrant to a staffer in State Representative Senfronia Thompson's office. Okay, Democrats would do the same thing. In fact, they would look at it in a manner that is like, they would say this is subverting democracy. Vox said the same thing in Oregon. Here you go, Oregon Republicans walk out and subvert democracy. Again, it was wrong when Republicans did it, but they didn't fly to D.C. to take refuge with Trump, unlike the Texas Democrats who did that with Biden. By the way, to my super thanks, the people who support this channel, I can't thank you enough. I was going to have a live stream tonight, but I'll probably just do this upload and have a live stream tomorrow evening. To my super thanks, I do want to thank you very, very much. And let's see. I want to thank people. Ghost Raven, thank you so very much. Thank you, Ghost Raven. Greatly appreciated on the super thanks. Dawn L. Baker. Thank you, Dawn. I believe you stated that you were Roger Rabbit. I believe. Or there's Roger Rabbit, I have to thank, and Dawn L. Baker. Thank you so very, very much. So I do appreciate the support. Ghost Raven, Dawn, Roger Rabbit, everybody who contributed. I believe there's some other people I must thank you in the next segment. But if you want to support this channel, the super thanks is below. It's right next to the right of the like and the share buttons. Scrolling down, if you look, Joseph Allen, thank you very much. Michael D. Sumner, thank you so very, very much. Michael, thank you. So basically, yeah, if you want to support the channel, Jean-Louis Blackburn, Roger Rabbit, thank you. So, thank you so much for supporting my work. And if you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications, that's on hagoodman.com. But ladies and gentlemen, you have a really bad week for Democrats. A really bad week. A horrendous, terrible week. The horrible, no good, what was the phrase, the line? The horrible, no good, bad, super bad week for Democrats. And media is still focused on Trump because they don't have anything, like they can't say that the economy is doing well. There are so many jobs out there, people don't want to go back to work. The Democratic Party has tanked the American economy. Almost entirely it's the Democratic Party's fault. You didn't have to shut down American society, okay? You didn't have to do that to tackle this global crisis. It doesn't matter if other countries did the same. There were countries like Sweden who didn't do that, and they fared a lot better than everybody. What you did is you created an eviction crisis. There's an eviction moratorium, okay? An eviction moratorium, but you created a crisis where now, when the moratorium ends in September or so, you have tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands or millions of people facing homelessness, eviction. How are the people who own the buildings? What happens to those people? What happens to the companies or the corporations owned by, oftentimes small business owners, even though you might think, well, that's not a small business owner, but what happens to those people? So you then have banks. I mean, this is going to potentially lead to, this alone might not collapse the economy, but this could lead to a really bad outcome. And it was Democrats who gleefully, oh my God, they were so happy. We can't open up now. We can't open up. And they, in the back of their minds, they said, oh, this is going to hurt Trump. Everything they do, the calculus is always, does it hurt Trump? Meanwhile, you have Texas Democrats arrested, and they're not even going to get what they want. No one cares. Do you think the average American cares if there's voter ID? Now you have passports for everything. You can't have voter ID. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now to this channel. I will have a live stream again tomorrow. This might just take the place of the live stream, this segment. Thank you so very, very